Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first ever celebration of the Lehrer Prize for Community Wellbeing. I'm Terrance McKnight, the evening host on WQXR, classical music sister station to WNYC. It's such a pleasure to be here with you all. At this point, it pretty much goes without saying that this year has been very challenging. So many people are hurting. And while it seems we may finally be seeing a little light at the end of the tunnel, we all know that we have a long road ahead. We've been dealt some of the gloomiest days we've seen in a lifetime. But what I've been left with is a feeling, a truth that I now hold more strongly than ever before, that we as a people are courageous, that we are deeply committed to those we share our neighborhoods and our lives with, and that the best of our humanity can and will come forward in the worst of times. So it's from that place that I want to start this evening's celebration, from a place of gratitude and honestly wonder at the countless ways people have come together, even when they can't be together over this past year. And so tonight, we're here to celebrate three incredible community organizations: Girls, Live, Love, Laugh, La Jornada, and Health for Youths, each of which is going above and beyond these days to make life better in real tangible ways. We'll also hear from Chef José Andrés about his incredible work with World Central Kitchen. And we'll be treated to a performance by one of my favorite musicians, Kelly Hall-Tompkins, who is both a stunning violinist and a tireless advocate for homeless New Yorkers. And of course, we'll get to hear from Brian Lehrer, who is a force for good, and in his own way, a force of nature. And it's frankly impossible to imagine New York and New Jersey without Brian Lehrer. He is a dear friend of mine, and I'd imagine many of you think about him in the same way. I could go on and on, but instead I'm going to leave you with two quick notes that seem to capture the fullness of Brian's character. First, a quote from David Remnick, editor of The New Yorker. Brian Lehrer is, in his words, the equivalent of LeBron James in the interviewing game. Full stop. And second, that Brian's genius extends well beyond politics and public health and just about every other civic issue into the musical arena. Two pieces of supporting evidence here. One, Brian recently guest hosted a night of my show, programming an entire hour of wind music, everything from small ensembles to full wind bands. Who is this guy? Brian in a former life was a flutist. And in the early days of the quarantine, when we were all clapping out of our windows for the city's essential workers, Brian stepped back into that former life, stuck his head and arms and half of his torso out the window, and played his flute for all of Upper Manhattan to hear. You can't make this stuff up. I'm going to be back in a little bit, but for now, here is Brian Lehrer.
Thank you so much, Terrance. And in the vein of being one another's publicist, I'll just say that I did indeed fill in for an hour of Terrance's show, but the fact he left out is that Terrance was off for 6 weeks on leave to write a book after a publisher approached him about the brilliant new series he launched in recent months on WQXR, The Black Experience in the Concert Hall, exploring the lingering racism that remains in the classical music world today. I don't know if this is in my power, but Terrance, I hereby bestow upon you an honorary Lehrer Prize for community well-being for the incredible work you're doing to keep people musically inspired and to push our culture forward. We are all in your debt. All right, now I want to thank you all for being here tonight. You are voluntarily spending more time on Zoom, which is no small thing right now, and we hope to make this a really good experience for you. As some of you may know, last year was my 30th anniversary on air at WNYC, and my fabulous colleagues who run the station decided that the best way to celebrate my anniversary was to create a special prize, an annual prize, recognizing, thank God, other people like our honorees here tonight, not me. But I did get to help decide what kind of award the Lehrer Prize would be, and I helped to name it the Prize for Community Well-Being. Part of my background is in public health, and community well-being is a term from the public health world that refers broadly to the fabric of social, economic, environmental, cultural, and political conditions that help people flourish and fulfill their potential. And that notion led us to the incredible people from New York and New Jersey you're about to meet. Who could have known that public health would become the primary focus of the world in 2020? And who could have imagined the ways that people would step up, and not just the frontline medical workers who we rightly hail as heroes every day, but others behind the scenes, supporting immigrant day laborers who don't have the right papers for COVID relief, girls growing up in Newark who never get much press even in normal times, 18 to 21-year-olds who can often fall through the cracks just as their lives head in one direction or another. What I see over and over again is just how many people there are out there doing amazing things that we usually never hear about. Tonight, we'll hear about a few. How did we choose? Well, in the lead up to this celebration, we asked some of our colleagues and sources, and we opened up the phone lines to ask our listeners and call in about the people you have been seeing stepping up to enhance community well-being. We just finished honoring 10 different ones on the air, over 10 daily programs on my show. And to choose honorees for tonight, the teams from my show got together with colleagues from the WNYC newsroom to go through some of the incredible people and organizations we had heard about in 2020. Honestly, there were so many we could have chosen to honor, but together we picked this evening's 3 honorees: Girls, Live, Love, Laugh, La Jornada, and Health for Youth. Now, if you've been listening to the show these last few weeks, you've already heard a bit about them, and I hope that they have served for you, as they have for me, as a much needed reminder of how much courage and generosity, and yes, love, there still is in every corner of the region, even during this very tough time. So it's very fitting that the first group we'll be spotlighting tonight is called Girls, Live, Love, Laugh, led by founder and CEO Allison James Frizon. Their mission is to make sure every girl between the ages of 6 and 16 in Newark has the chance to lead a full, happy, and successful life. They do this by providing a range of transformative programs and services and resources to local girls and their families. Up next, we're going to share a short video about their work, featuring a voice many of you will know well, that of WNYC reporter Karen Rouse.
When you're talking to Allison James Frizon, it doesn't take very long for one word to come up: Newark.
Newark is everything to me. And a lot of people look at my story and say, my God, she's still in Newark. And I say, yes, I am still in Newark. My pain started here, but my joy is going to end here.
Her nonprofit, Girls Live, Love, Laugh Incorporated, works to support and empower the young women of Newark.
I created Girls Live, Love, Laugh because of my upbringing. I am a survivor of domestic violence, child sexual abuse, homelessness, and gun violence. So because of my background, it inspired me to do things for young girls that I wish someone would have done for me.
The group provides workshops on leadership and career development, education, communication, health and wellness, bullying, time management, and civic engagement. They also lead the annual Girls Matter Walk and offer youthpreneur summer camps that teach entrepreneurship skills, healthy cooking, and art classes.
At the end of community, there's unity. I can't see myself living in Newark and not trying to meet the needs of so many individuals that are having hardships at this time.
The girls served by GLLL have been hit especially hard by the COVID-19 pandemic, but weekly online workshops and mentoring programs are helping keep the girls on track during this difficult time. They've also worked to support the city's Mask Up Newark initiative, distributing 10,000 cloth masks to Newark residents at churches, masjids, schools, and senior citizen homes. Since the program's founding, Girls Live, Love, Laugh has served more than 1,000 young women, and many of their stories have stayed with James Frizon.
I took ill and the girls were making get well cards for me. And one of the girls, she was struggling in math. She said, Miss Allison, I got a B on my math test. Thank you for believing in me. I actually got a B. So she's always going to be a part of my story and how we're making a difference on these young girls' lives.
And with us live now is Allison James Frizon. Allison, congratulations on being an honoree. We're so glad to have you. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Brian, for having me. It is an honor to be one of the honorees. Girls Live, Love, Laugh, Inc. We're excited to be here and to be a part of this historic event.
And I wish I could meet you in person for this, but at least you didn't have to come into the city.
Right.
In fact, it snowed a little up by me in Upper Manhattan today. Did it snow in Newark?
Yes, it did. It snowed for maybe about 3 hours. It snowed here.
You said on the video that Newark is everything to you.
Mm-hmm.
How so?
Well, I was born and raised in Newark, as you know. Newark pretty much taught me everything that I know. It taught me how to overcome all my struggles, my trials and tribulations. I was born and raised here, been educated through the city of Newark. It taught me how to be a community servant, how to give back. It actually empowered me to start this organization, Girls Live, Love, Laugh, Inc., because of everything I went through. As you all may know, I am a survivor of child sexual abuse, homelessness, domestic violence, and gun violence. Being able to relate to other residents in the city of Newark and get them the resources that they need actually it fulfills me, and it helps me continue with my mission. Everything I know, I learned here in the city of Newark.
You said in the video that at the end of community is unity, and that's
Yes.
a way to look at the word,
Mhm.
and that's a way to look at the world.
Yes.
And I wonder if part of your mission is not just to help your girls as individuals, but also to contribute in some larger sense to community well-being.
Yes. Girls Live, Love, Laugh, I give back personally and as the organization as a home, as a whole, as now, the pandemic is live in our communities all over the world. I have been out in a community. We started a 10,000 mask giveaway to help combat COVID-19. We provide resources to the homeless, to domestic violence victims. We also feed the senior citizens. So unity, we have to have that in our communities. In order for the community to move forward and be a better, healthier community, we have to be unified to make things better in our community.
And you said in the video that your girls have been particularly hard hit by the pandemic. How so?
Well, a lot of parents, have been laid off, unfortunately. So they are in need of extension needs. We can't bind like we used to. Our workshops are not as active as they used to be. They're just missing that in-person social atmosphere. They're doing homeschooling. A lot of them are not really adapting to homeschool, being isolated. So these are some of the things that they're actually dealing with now. The organization, we're working with them, trying to keep them busy and active and relieve some of the anxiety that they're experiencing right now.
Did the social justice movement of this year, the racial justice movement of this year also influence your work and change it in any way?
We always been active in the community fighting for social justice. So with the now, it was something that we was already a part of. When we have our Girls Matter walk, it's about social justice, equality for women. So it was always embedded in our organization, but now on a broader scale, we make sure the girls understand what social justice is all about, try to get them involved and to start their own movements and organizations geared towards social justice.
If there are people watching who are inspired by your work and would like to help in some way, do you take individual donations or do you need volunteers?
Yes, we always need donations because our organization is not granted we don't receive grants from the city, state, or county. So we're always looking for donations and volunteers. Now, especially now during the pandemic, and most of our workshops are on Zoom, we need a lot of hands on deck. We can be reached at www.girlslivelovelive.org if anyone would like to donate or volunteer with the organization.
Well, thank you again for joining us. I like your Christmas tree in the background.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations on being a
Thank
champion
you.
of community well-being in 2020.
Thank you.
As we were planning this special evening honoring local community builders, we wondered who could we invite as a special celebrity guest, who would both fit the occasion and make many of you who are watching this actually want to spend more time on Zoom. Well, it didn't take long for our team to land on Chef José Andrés, if he would be willing to do it. And lucky for all of us, Chef Andrés accepted our invitation. Now, José Andrés is part of that incredibly rare breed of person who is equally known for their talent and their commitment to community well-being. In one world, he's a celebrated chef who's credited with sparking the tapas craze in America with a string of award-winning restaurants that he opened throughout the country. In another world, he's a relentless activist and humanitarian, founder of the World's Central Kitchen, a nonprofit that has fed millions of people after disasters and crises in Puerto Rico, Guatemala, Indonesia, Mozambique, Haiti, and yes, the United States. This year, during the pandemic, he's distributed tens of millions of meals in the US and abroad. And in a year when sadly, hunger and the need for emergency food relief have been such major side effects of the pandemic, I love that the organization calls their team First Food Responders. What an honor to have Chef José Andrés. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Brian, for having me. Thank you.
I see you're currently in Providencia, an island off the nation of Colombia. What brings you there?
So Providencia, it's an island belongs to Colombia, even it's much closer actually to Nicaragua. But Hurricane 5 over a week ago hit this island. Around 6,000 people living in Providencia and another 200 in a tiny island called Santa Catalina off Providencia. And the entire island has been wiped out. There's no one building left. It's literally no one building left. And what we've done is do what we do. We were already in Honduras and we were already in Guatemala doing close to 20,000 meals a day. And those two countries were hit badly by the same hurricane. Even in Nicaragua and Guatemala, the issue was water. Was a lot of water because rain. The issue in Providencia was wind. Water too, but wind. So it's so amazing how hurricanes, when they transform into storm, can be the wind damage or can be the water damage. So long story short, here I am doing what we do, trying to bring hope one plate of food at a time.
So disasters don't come neatly one at a time. You're doing hurricane relief during a pandemic. And I see your organization has been responding to hurricanes for 10 years. So I'm curious, how has COVID-19 changed or complicated those efforts?
Well, you have to imagine, right? For me, the most important as the founder of this organization, which I still am very active when I can, and putting aside my job, the number one thing is how do you protect your teams? Imagine at the very beginning of this pandemic when we didn't really know what was the dimension of the impact of this virus. But you see that people can die because, so it's something to be taken seriously. So how we do it? Well, we created health protocols from day one. I began following this virus in 2019, when 31st of December, we saw the first news coming from Wuhan, China. And my brain began thinking, how are we going to do this? We have experience in cholera areas like Haiti, Mozambique, and we began writing a protocol to say, if we need to keep cooking, because this is going to be an emergency, and it's going to be certain groups that they're going to need feeding, elderly, hospitals, homeless. How are we going to do it? Protecting our culinary teams, protecting the people delivering, and more important, as important, the people that we were delivering to, especially the elderly. That health protocol helped us be ahead of the game. I just tested myself again for the 25th time in this pandemic. And thanks God, I've been again negative, as all our people at World Central Kitchen. So, you know, for the people that doubt that doing the right thing is not important, I'm telling you, if you wear the mask, if you wash your hands, you have more chances of not catching the virus. So that's very much what we've been doing.
I see that central to your philosophy and the philosophy of Central World Kitchen is that chefs and cooks and other people in the food world are specifically equipped to respond to disasters. What makes that true?
Well, you know, people in restaurant business, we are used to chaos sometimes, because sometimes even when you take reservations, it seems people always come at the same hour. So we need to maximize our skills, from the cooks to the waiters to the managers to the chefs to adapt to the circumstance. I never imagined that this kind of being ready for kind of controlled chaos is also a good asset on the field after emergencies. What we saw is this, that food is sometimes an afterthought. As important food is in our lives, as important food is in our communities, because we all have a favorite place. We all go to a particular diner for something we love. We all have a recipe we think we cook better than anybody and we want to share with others. As important as food is in the heart of the DNA of humans, in emergencies, I would say that I feel it's been always an afterthought, where the MRE mentality, the meals ready to eat, is what prevails. And I learned that it's not about giving better or worse food to people. It's about doing it quick, fast, creating organization, creating delivery systems that are effective, bringing hope to people, especially in these situations of hurricanes, earthquakes, fires. So this is very much who is supposed to be feeding people in emergencies. Well, you bring doctors and nurses to take care of the health. You bring firefighters to do rescue missions, and you bring the Air Force to do airlift. If you have to feed people, who do you think we should be bringing to the field? Well, here you go.
But what happens when the disaster comes for the chefs? We all know that COVID is a financial pandemic for the restaurants of America. More are closing each day. Countless food workers are losing their jobs. Do you think the country is responding in the ways that it needs to the current needs of food workers?
Well, I am very upset with the government of how little they've done to help restaurants. And I don't think the government has done enough to take care of hungry Americans. Restaurants are a beautiful thing. We're in every community across America. And in a moment that the pandemic has shut us down, wouldn't it be smart to activate the restaurants, transform them from restaurants to community kitchens, and make sure that one restaurant at a time, one community at a time, the people in need will be fed? Wouldn't it be beautiful that through FEMA, which, by the way, I think FEMA has been missing in action in what has been the biggest disaster we've ever faced in the last century, and that FEMA will articulate the federal government support through funds that will allow mayors who are at the front lines in this pandemic to activate local diners and restaurants and coffee shops to provide relief, especially the poor communities. In the process, you keep the restaurants working. In the process, you keep those new community kitchens with employees that you can pay. The owners can pay the rent. All of a sudden, you can keep buying from the farmers. In the process, you feed the people in need. Wouldn't this be brilliant that our federal government did this? Well, World Central Kitchen, we did this with 3,000 restaurants across America. We've been in 10 countries, at least in this pandemic alone. We are very proud that we put the working hat of the private sector, and we put the funds that we receive from donors that support us spending more money than usually we will in a normal emergency. But I didn't mind to spend more money because we were putting the money at the service of keeping restaurants afloat. Nobody getting rich, but keeping the restaurants afloat. Restaurants, by the way, they don't do it for the business. They do it because of the empathy. And in the process, feeding one community at a time. 3,000 restaurants over almost 9 months, about to reach 40 million meals. Makes me very proud we did this. Chefs like Marcus Samuelsson, he's known, but I don't care. He's a Food Network chef. I care that he is a friend, but he has a big heart. And Eric Bippert from Le Bernardin, the most expensive restaurant in Manhattan. The chef and his team were there helping us feed local hospitals and others. But then other restaurants that maybe we don't know, like chefs like Melba, who she runs Melba's in Harlem, and many others that is so many. I cannot say the name of all of them, but I believe me, in the future, we will, because those men and women, those restaurants help feed people in America in our darkest hour.
Before you go, Jose, what do you like to eat? Like after a long day of helping to feed others, what's a simple meal that you make for yourself?
Listen, my favorite thing is a fried egg. Nothing is more amazing than a fried egg. A piece of bread, and if the fried egg has been done perfectly, go to Google or somewhere and you'll find me frying the perfect fried egg. Or a simple potato that just came out of the dirt in my little garden and just boil, even with the dirt. And then you take it out, you peel it, some olive oil and salt, and that potato can blow your mind away. Listen, I like expensive things too, like caviar. When I can, I do it. And especially if a friend invites me. But yesterday, my favorite dish is always the last one I ate. And especially the first time I ate a dish. My only regret is that it's not enough days, an hour in my life to eat every single dish that humanity has ever created. I already know that I don't have enough days or years in my lifetime to eat every dish. But every time I discover in my brain a new dish, dishes that they've been there forever, but first time I have the experience. So yesterday, Lincoln, this amazing isleño, this Colombian chef, he cooked for my team and I was Central Kitchen, a dish called rondón. And this is an amazing dish where the main ingredient is coconut milk, freshly grated coconuts. And he adds bananas, ripe plantains, and sweet potatoes and yuca. And then he had conch that is plentiful in these Caribbean waters. And then red snapper, a touch of basil only for aroma, and a touch of Scotch bonnet pepper only for aroma. It's not even spicy. And this whole thing boiled with pig's tail, which is very amazing. A lot of pieces of pig's tail and a dumpling that they make with flour that is very chewy, and they boil it all together. I ate that thing. And this amazing concoction of coconut milk with fish and conch and dumplings and yuca and jams and sweet potatoes and the velvety, beautiful coconut reduction at the end was an astonishing dish that we ate under the rain with a bittersweet moment, because we were having a good time after many days of hard work. But we knew that in an island not too far away, still we have many people that even the government of Colombia has done a very good job. There's still a lot of people that without homes were going to be one more night under the rain. And so these moments are great because we try to learn and we try to come together and celebrate food. But always you have this kind of bittersweet moment where your enjoyment sometimes is the realization that others are going through hardships. That's why we must be there next to the people, especially the poor, especially the voiceless. When things happen, I don't mind that my family is doing well. I try to do well for myself, but I think we all must do a little bit more, starting by the federal government and the big NGOs of the world to bring some quick relief to the people in need. So I'm sorry for the long answer. But we began with eggs and we finished with maybe we can change the world through the power of food.
Well, Chef Jose Andrés, thank you so much for your service to the world, and thank you for a few minutes for us for tonight.
Thank you, Brian, for having me. Very special to be with you today. I appreciate the invitation.
Like Jose, our next honoree is doing incredible work to address the food insecurity we've seen skyrocketing this year. Led by Pedro Rodriguez, the La Jornada Food Pantry primarily serves the day laborer community in Queens. They're located in Flushing, and these days are serving a community that stretches pretty much the entire length of northern Queens. Well before the pandemic, their meals, clothing, and social services were a critical lifeline for so many. And over the course of the year, Pedro and his team of volunteers shifted their operations and scaled up dramatically to meet the unfortunate surge in demand. In this next segment, we'll hear a bit more about La Jornada from Arun Venugopal, senior reporter on WNYC's Race and Justice Unit.
The Spanish word jornada roughly translates to working day, which makes it an appropriate name for the La Jornada Food Pantry in Queens, which was founded by Executive Director Pedro Rodriguez in 2007 to help informally employed day laborers.
We started making sandwiches and coffee for the day laborers in Northern Boulevard. From that, it became a food pantry a year later. And from that, we started serving 250 families. 5 years later, we were serving 1,000 families. That was last year. And this year, right now, we are serving 10,750 families a week.
Beyond providing food, La Jornada supports its community with clothing drives, Bible study, and ESL classes. But as New York began lockdowns to combat COVID-19, La Jornada was in a difficult position.
I was sitting here at the beginning of March and thinking about closing. That week, I have lost all my volunteers, because all my volunteers were over 60 years old. And the mayor said, everybody over 60 has to stay home.
Then an unexpected encounter reminded Pedro that it had never been more important to continue on with their work.
One lady and a child walk in, and I turned around and said, yes, can I help you? I said, yes, we like some food. I said, okay, no problem. So we started with giving food, and then in the conversation, I found out that they had not eaten in 3 days. That was changed everything in my mind, because we really had to be open. And that's what we found out 2 weeks later when we came down here, and we had lines that was 28 blocks long. It was middle-class America coming to a food pantry.
To meet the incredible demand, La Jornada recruited a crop of new volunteers.
Millennials came in to replace the seniors. Talking about hundreds of people. We need around 400 volunteers every week. And these people fed New York.
La Jornada, much like the people it serves, rose to meet the challenges facing New York City and help its community stay safe and strong.
The good thing about this is how New Yorkers can work together. They love each other and take care of each other, and they can accomplish incredible things. That's New York spirit.
And joining me now is Pedro Rodriguez, live, director of La Jornada. Pedro, congratulations on being an honoree, and thank you so much for some time tonight.
No, thank you very much. It's an honor for us to be here. We've never expected, like everything this year. We don't expect anything. We don't know what we're doing here. So we're really happy to be here. Thank you.
You know, I'm going to let all the viewers in on a little breaking news that you were sharing with me in the virtual green room just a minute ago. And that is that you're losing one of your main sources of food as of today because the federal government is cutting it off. What's going on?
We are part of a program called Farms to House, Farms to Home. And today, without telling anybody, we were expecting the trucks to come in today, and we were no trucks. So we started to call in, and they say, "Oh, we finished with the food. That's it. We finished with the food. Call us back in January or February." So, and this is hungry people. I'm not a restaurant. I'm not a Madison Square Garden that I'm not going to get food in, but this is 10,000 families that are going to lose probably half of the food that they used to be getting.
Oh, Was that a policy decision by an agency of the federal government?
They will never tell me, but I really believe that somebody, to do this 2 weeks before Christmas, somebody really had to be doing something really wrong, or somebody must be really planning something for a long time. Because it's 2 weeks. We're talking about, a small part of it. What can you do to help people have a decent Christmas after the pandemic, after everything that we have gone through?
That's really terrible. Well, we were expecting to talk to you just to honor and feel good about that. I'm glad you shared this breaking news with us. It's horrible, but now we have something for our news department and my show to follow up on in the morning.
Please, it's called Vincent Farms. They are in Rhode Island, I think it is, and they just stopped today. I don't know why they stopped. I don't know. They say they run out of food. The federal government doesn't run out of food. This is the richest country in the world. How can we run out of food? No, it's somebody didn't want to do it anymore. That's my guess. I'm just guessing. Maybe your department can find something better.
We will follow up. In the video, you talked about how the original impetus was to help gay workers, gay laborers who had informal work, who would congregate on Northern Boulevard. For people who don't know that scene, what's it like in normal times?
In normal times, there is a whole bunch of young men standing there in the street, in the cold, or in the hat. I mean, but it really is. And these people are looking to work for one day for somebody for probably less than minimum wage. And more than half of their income are going to go home to their families, which they have left behind. So you're talking about men, women, and children in their countries or even right here. And they just have to work like that. Why do they have to work like that? Because somebody created barriers between countries. Somebody created, hate between different race groups, and that's why they had to work like that. And so we saw them there, and for me, it was a surprise, okay? Because my life used to be Bayside, New York, Bayside, Manhattan. I never stopped somewhere in the middle. The day I stopped in, I saw them was an eye-opener. Because I never thought that the richest country in the world and the richest city in the world would have that. We have people in the street begging for work, which is what these people do. So it was a life-changing too, because I was like in a beautiful church and doing, so God somehow told me, says, you have to do something before you come home, and that's what he gave me. He gave me a heart for these people, and we started working with them, and then we started working with their families for food, and we started with 25 families and to 100 families, 200 families, 500 families, 1,000 families, and then that was last year. In December of last year, we did 1,000 families a week. And we thought we were doing, wow, incredible. Last week, we did 10,771 families.
Unbelievable. And it's so sad because it reflects the reality of this year, obviously. Before you go, two things. One, I was struck in the video, and you told me this story when we spoke previously, about how the volunteers tended to be older people. That's who tends to volunteer. And they had to retreat because of COVID, but you were able to recruit a whole new crop of millennials who maybe are stepping up for the first time in their lives. How did you recruit them? And then tell our viewers and everybody in attendance if they can help you with either donations or volunteering.
Yeah, the interesting thing was the millennials, after I lost the seniors, we were sitting here going like, maybe we should close this place. So, but then we started walking to a truck, and these young people were coming back saying, we cannot find work. And then you can hear this conversation. I say, we can give you some food. You help me download this truck, and we work together. And then from that moment on, the idea that a millennium, that young people didn't care, that young people were going to be a failure this conversation was on last year and the year before. The millennials were, oh, they only care about themselves. They're going to be horrible. These people fed New York. These people fed thousands and thousands and thousands of New Yorkers. This is the heroes that nobody understands. That these young people really, and they care. And they came here. They come in at 7 o'clock in the morning. I mean, they work and they took boxes out of trucks. And took them care. These are New Yorkers taking care of New Yorkers. And that is the worst thing in the world, that young people, this is one thing that gives me hope. I have hope in young people in New York. I mean,
if anybody watching right now wants to either volunteer or donate, how can they do that?
We have a Facebook page called La Jornada. They can go there and see us there. And in there, we have a PayPal account that they can help us financially. If they want to volunteer, the same thing, they can go there and send me a text and we will answer them back. We need volunteers Monday through Saturday, every day of the week. So if you have an hour or a day, come and help us. We need all the help we can get.
Pedro, thank you for your service to the community. Thank you for your time tonight. Congratulations on being an honoree, a hero of community well-being in 2020.
No, thank you for having us, and thank you for the honor of being part of this. Thank you for the honor of being a New Yorker, serving a lot of New Yorkers. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, everybody, back to Terrance McKnight.
Our next guest, Kelly Hall-Tompkins, is an award-winning violinist whose performance and recording history includes orchestral, Broadway, and chamber music. She's also one of WQXR's 20 for 20 artists, our cohort of musicians making the greatest contributions to classical music today. And oh yeah, a few other things. She was the fiddler violin soloist for the Bartlett Chair production of Fiddler on the Roof, and the New York Times named her a New Yorker of the Year in 2017. Kelly has also been a pioneer in bringing her art beyond the walls of Symphony Hall. Through her Music Kitchen, Food for the Soul program, classical musicians perform concerts for people experiencing homelessness in shelters. More than just performances, these events help nourish some of the most vulnerable New Yorkers, giving them hope and strength while raising awareness about the homelessness crisis in our community. Despite COVID-19 restrictions, Kelly has kept music alive with her Bridging the Distance virtual series. Here now to perform Lily Boulanger's Nocturne alongside pianist Donna Wayne Friedman, Kelly Hall-Tompkins.
I'm Goli Sheikhlaslami, President and CEO of New York Public Radio. And wow, a big thank you to Kelly Hall-Tompkins for that gorgeous performance. I also, of course, want to thank all of you for being listeners, readers, and supporters, for being friends and partners of the incredible groups we're here to honor, and ultimately for being a part of the community we're here to celebrate tonight. I've been looking forward to this evening for a very long time. You see, I joined New York Public Radio just over a year ago, and one of the very first conversations I had when I arrived was about the Lehrer Prize, about how we could best honor Brian Lehrer for 30 years of service to the New York area, and I couldn't have imagined a more exciting note to enter on. I have long admired Brian and the unique role his show plays in the life of New York City. In so many ways, it epitomizes the core values that we in public media live by: integrity, community, empathy, respect, and an unwavering commitment to truth. It's one of the many things that made me excited to join this organization. And what seemed like a powerful idea a year ago has today grown to represent something even more profound. After the year we've had, tonight has come to symbolize nothing less than the promise of the future. It is an opportunity to acknowledge the many challenges we face together, celebrate the great capacity and resilience of the human spirit, and remind us that there will be better days ahead, but that they will not arrive without a lot of compassion, generosity, and hard work. In tonight's guests and honorees, we are reminded of all of this and so much more. And as Brian mentioned earlier, it now seems prescient that when we came up with the idea of this award, we landed on community well-being. The phrase seeks to get at the multiple interwoven factors that must come together for a community to be truly healthy: economic opportunity, political accountability, functioning healthcare systems, racial and environmental justice, and undergirding all of that, a robust public sphere where information is available freely, enlivening art is accessible to all, and individuals are connected to one another and those in power. This is exactly what we at New York Public Radio seek to cultivate. And it's why we didn't just continue our work throughout the difficult times, we expanded it and pushed it forward. This summer, we transformed two of the city's most beloved cultural traditions for the radio, partnering with the Public Theater and Lincoln Center to produce Shakespeare on the Radio on WNYC and the Mostly Mozart Festival on WQXR. Our newsroom has been working tirelessly to cover the shifting course of the pandemic, the racial justice protests that are sparking long overdue actions and conversations, and the tumultuous election cycle that is still playing out. And of course, every day, and increasingly some nights and weekends, Brian Lehrer has been working to connect people when they can't otherwise be together, creating a forum for our city to speak and listen and be heard. None of us could have imagined what the world would look like today, but we at New York Public Radio pride ourselves on being prepared to meet whatever challenges the world may throw at us and to stand with you through it all. And we're able to do this, to show up day after day because of the generosity, guidance, and true civic participation of this community. Like all news organizations and cultural institutions, we have been hurt financially by the pandemic, and the impact is significant. But our teams need to continue working because, frankly, our city can't afford for us not to. So if you are able, I invite you to donate tonight, no matter how large or small the contribution. We've set up a text donation feature so you can give right now from your phone. Just text Brian to phone number 70101 and our system will guide you from there. And for those of you taking out your phones right now, let me repeat, just text Brian to 70101. I also want to let you know that New York Public Radio is supporting each of tonight's honorees with a financial contribution, and I, of course, encourage you to do the same. They are doing incredible work, and your donations will go a long way. Our team will be reaching out after the event with more information about everyone you've met tonight, so you can learn even more about their work and how best to support it. Up next, we're going to hear from a few others who wanted to say hello, so I'll just close by saying thank you for everything you do.
Hello, hello. This is Lulu Miller, one of the new co-hosts of Radiolab, here to thank the donors for their support.
We so much appreciate all that you've done for us during the course of this crazy year. So on behalf of all of our team and my dog Rocco, we say thank you.
Your support lets us know that you care and that you're out there. After all, if you weren't listening, we'd just be in rooms talking to ourselves, which would be really sad.
Magic of public radio is that we can bring the joy and beauty of classical music to everyone in New York and beyond, even from a basement in Brooklyn.
I just want to say thank you for making it possible for us to gather the city every Sunday night.
From the bottom of my heart, and also on behalf of my teams, to any donor who's watching this, thank you so much.
Because of your support, we are independent, rigorous, and strong in pursuit of the truth.
So thank you, thank you, thank you.
I know the lighting isn't that great, but think about it this way. It's a demonstration of the value of your support. It allows us to put in work at all hours of the day.
I'm the midday host on WQXR and the voice of underwriting for WNYC, saying thank you to you for your financial support.
I just wanted to take a quick sec to say an immense and profound thank you.
Thank you so much for your support, which allows me to make radio programs and podcasts that bring all of the richness of classical music to our audiences.
Your support means that we can continue to not only inform, but actually comfort people.
We couldn't do any of this without your backing and your support. So thank you so much, and we look forward to bringing you even more of this critical journalism in 2021. Thanks so much.
It is a rare pleasure to see so many of my favorite colleagues' faces on the same screen. And obviously, I can't wait until what will feel like a very precious opportunity when I can see your faces in our offices on Barrett Street again. But shifting gears to this evening's final nominee, and not to bury the lead, the winner of the inaugural Lehrer Prize, Heather Butts, and her remarkable organization, Health for Youths. And no, I'm not just going to skate past that. It's been a real honor to recognize Heather, and it has been a pleasure to get to know her work over the past few weeks and to have her on the show. We're officially recognizing Heather tonight for her work with Health for Youths, a group providing resources and support to help young people transitioning into adulthood. But one of the things all of us on the nominated committee were struck by was the fact that Heather somehow has the time, energy, and creativity to run a bunch of initiatives all over the area, from free pop-up libraries and food pantries on Staten Island to economic and environmental revitalization projects in Lake Como, New Jersey. And it's not even her day job. To me and to us, Heather's work kind of captures everything we mean when we say community well-being, that it's holistic, that it's about strengthening the human body, the body politic, the planet we all share, and on and on. And what's more, she makes it very clear that our community extends into every corner of the New York metro area. Heather will join me in just a minute to discuss all of that, but Heather Butts, congratulations. And here's a short video from WNYC's planning editor, Kate Hines, about Heather Butts and Health for Youths.
For many young people, turning 18 is an exciting milestone. But for youth who have grown up in the foster care system, are experiencing homelessness, or are court-involved, it's a critical juncture when they lose access to services for minors but still require support and guidance.
It's a gap. Our organization helps to fill that in and to help them safely get on to the rest of their lives in a successful manner.
Heather Butts founded Health for Youths in 2009. The name is an acronym that captures the organization's holistic, community-based approach to serving their clients.
A lot of times people have needs that both overlap and compete. Focusing on one thing, for example, oh, this person is hungry, you deal with an issue that they might have, but you're not dealing with the whole person. In order to truly have mental health and physical health, you have to deal with as many aspects of the person as you can.
Now in its 11th year of operation, Health for Youth serves 4,000 young adults annually and is run entirely by volunteers. The organization provides literacy programs, college readiness training, Dress for Success workshops, and health screenings. The group is also heavily involved in community gardens and with the Little Free Library movement. But during the COVID pandemic, Health for Youths went beyond their regular programming to meet the immediate needs of their community.
We started to just get people what they needed, whether it was food or clothing or help them figure out rent abatement. We just started helping with that.
They also adapted their existing programs, taking their workshops online and turning their little free libraries into food pantries. They even piloted a program providing free fruit in a Staten Island bodega, all helping to ensure that young adults and their communities across the New York region are supported through these incredibly challenging times.
There's going to be a lot to do after COVID. And so that is my hope, that this nonprofit continues to do amazing work and that it continues to thrive and help people and communities all over New York City.
And with us live now is Heather Butts. Heather, congratulations on being the first ever winner of the Lehrer Prize for Community Wellbeing.
Yeah, it's shocking. Thank you very much. We're honored. I just want to thank everybody on your staff, everybody at WNYC, and of course you. The namesake is well deserved, and just really proud of being nominated. To win is pretty stunning. So thank you very much.
Now, you know, I said earlier in the program that the idea for how to frame the prize came from the public health community's concept of community well-being. And I'm curious, since you teach public health at 2 colleges as your day job, if that informed what kind of nonprofit you decided to start.
Oh, absolutely. And then the name says it. The name took a while to come up with, actually. And the reason why I came up with that name was because I really wanted a holistic approach to health. So to me, everything basically is infused within health, and health is infused within everything else. So thinking about the name really sort of conceptualized the organization. And so when I started, I really wanted Health for Youth to be something that looked at health in a global manner. And over the 11 years, we hope we've done that.
And so you're involved with so many different communities, some of it in the video, some of it wasn't. You're involved with some of the 18 to 21-year-olds you work with in an environmental project in Lake Como, New Jersey, I see. And you have these little libraries that are now also little food pantries all around the city. Can you talk about the little libraries and where that came from?
Yeah, I mean, I have to give a lot of credit to a couple of people. One is Councilmember Debbie Rhodes on Staten Island, who has been a partner with us on that from the beginning. Another are various NYPD precincts that we have little free libraries in on Staten Island. We've also done a ton of work with community members on Staten Island, in Queens, in fabulous Lake Como. So it's really been a team effort. And I basically, really quickly, I was doing some gardening one day at one of the precincts in Staten Island. This is back in 2014. Saw these young children who were waiting for a parental handoff for one parent to come up to hand off the children to another parent. And they were just kind of sitting there. And I had some books in my car. So I asked their dad, would you mind if I gave them a book to read while they were waiting for their mother? And he said, yes, please, absolutely. So gave them the books. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be interesting if there was actually a place where there were more books and maybe some games that the students could have here? That's how it sort of morphed into one little free library, and then 2, and now we're up to about 60.
Wow. And did the mission change when the pandemic hit and the regular library branches closed in so many cases?
It did. One of the things that we really wanted to do, and I say this when people talk about our pantries, is that it was important to me that even though we were giving supplies and food that people needed during COVID, that we didn't lose that holistic approach to health. To me, reading is health, education is health, college readiness, that's health. And so the ability to keep these little free libraries open so they did what they sought out to do, and I've talked with the head of Little Free Library, Greg Metzger, that they did what they were going to do, what they always were meant to do, but we were able to morph them into a need that people had. Well, that was important to me, and the fact that we were able to do that was incredible.
We're just about out of time. If people want to help by volunteering or donating, do you need either?
Volunteers are wonderful. And I think in this time, if we're able to give a pathway for people to be able to do that, we love it. So we're at Health for Youths on Instagram and Twitter, so you can follow us there. And then our website is www.health4youths.org. So you can find us there, but volunteers would be great. And if you want to volunteer your time or some books or a smile, we're here for it.
Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your work, and congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you for the honor. Thank you.
And that's just about going to wrap it up, folks. Almost going to wrap it up. I'm going to throw it back to Terrance for a closing word in just a second. I just want to thank all our honorees. I want to thank our special guests, Kelly and José. I want to thank my colleagues at WNYC for giving me the honor of naming this prize for me. We hope to use it for good in the coming years. We hope this was worthwhile tonight and the process leading up to it. And I want to thank everybody who's tuned in for this, for your support. Thank you so, so much. Terrance, back to you.
Thanks, Brian, for bringing us all together tonight and for bringing our community together for more than 3 decades. We're now at the end of a very special night. And once again, I want to thank José Andrés and Kelly Hall-Tompkins, and of course, congratulate each of the honorees this evening. Girls Live, Love, Laugh, La Jornada, and Health for Youths. Your tireless work makes our community stronger and healthier, and I'm so grateful we had a chance to share your stories this evening. And to everyone with us tonight, I hope, like me, you can hang on to that sense of gratitude for the rest of this evening and well beyond. Thank you once again for joining us, and have a great night.